Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reviewing the Uni Emott Everfine pens. These fine liners are only 0.4 in size, and it does say that it has a durable reinforced tip, and so I'm very curious to see how it works, especially since they're kind of pricey, ranging from $7 to $15 depending where you get them. This is the floral collection. They do have different colors that you can choose from, or different sets that have bright colors or very saturated ones. This is more on the pastel side of things. I like pastel colors. I didn't notice at first, but it comes with a stand, and I'm sure you've noticed they look a little wobbly, but they would actually surprise you because they are kind of hard to get out of the stand. I did struggle a little bit. As you can see in the bottom, each little circle is molded to the actual pen barrel so it fits perfectly and snaps in place. And right now we are looking at the bottom of the pen, which is so interesting because I've never seen something like that where it's molded perfectly to be put inside of a stand and click in there. And I think that's something that's really interesting with this. You would think because it's on the square side of things, it would be able to just kind of sit on a desk on its own without rolling around, so you wouldn't really need a stand because that's probably what the stand is for. As you can see here, it does roll extremely easily unless like you position it specifically so it doesn't. This is going to be the first color we are trying today. It is a very light pastel pink. I do wish that it was a little darker, but we'll get to that in a bit. This is what the tip looks like. That little tiny dot of color at the end is the part that holds the ink. That's it. That white part that's right underneath the little dot of color is just a piece of plastic. It's not anything except plastic. And I was really surprised. I didn't know that's what it meant by reinforced. A lot of the reinforced pens that I've used actually have more of a nib, and this nib is barely existent at all, and does make me wonder about how long you can use this or how much ink is in this. But going back to the color, as you saw with the light pink earlier, it's very light. It's pastel and it's almost non-existent. It's like the thought of color. This is the second darkest pink. It's more like a raspberry color. And something I did discover is you can put the cap on the end of the pen while you're writing with it. I know a lot of pens do that, but some don't, and especially the higher end ones don't. So this is what this color looks like. I will give you an up close viewing later so you can see what the colors look like in a better light. But these are the two pinks that come in this collection. I think they're very cute, and all the colors in the floral collection are very complementary. Up next we have a very deep purple, almost like when you think of a grape color, this is what would come to mind. This is definitely a great set for people who love floral pastel colors when they're doing any kind of journaling or note-taking. I definitely don't recommend a majority of these colors for note-taking though, because a lot of them are very light. The darkest ones are this pink that you just saw in the pink previously. That's it, or the purple and the pink. This is more of a lavender purple, and I really like it, but it's more on the smoky side. It's pretty gray, and I was hoping for something a bit more on the purpley side for this, but it's fine. It came out all right. It wasn't perfect, but it was okay. And last but not least, we have this blue-gray color, but in my personal opinion, it ended up looking more gray than it did blue. I do wish they'd had put a little bit more blue in it, or at least a little bit more purple, so it would correspond a little bit better with the set. It does look beautiful together. It all does look like it goes well. I just wish that some of the colors weren't so light to the point where it's kind of hard to see them because there's almost no point in using them. As I stated earlier, these are a 0.4 nib, so they're very, very small. As you can see here, this is the one thing that bothered me. At the end of every word or letter, you can see a small little ink spot, but it was bothersome to me. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like that because it kind of feels like it's leaking or it's going to leak. And I didn't really leave my hand on there for too long, so it shouldn't have done that. But fortunately, it doesn't show through the back, even on the really dark parts. I'm just not a fan of it leaving like a big spot of ink at the end of whatever I'm writing. Some people may like that aesthetic, and that's understandable, and this was definitely a pen for you if you like that, but it feels like there's not enough ink, but also too much ink at the same time. It's very, very light for the most part when you're writing with it, but then you have those big blobs at the end, so that's the only downside for me, besides the price. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be showing you guys this pen compared to others with the nib size. This Emott pen is a 0.4 nib size, so it's really, really small, but there are smaller ones. If you're looking for an extremely thin nib, the Le Pen, or I am assuming that's how you say it, are a 0.3 nib. This is actually smaller than the Emott one. And as you can see, there's a little bit more felt at the end than there is for the Emott one. The Emott one did have a very, very tiny felt nib. For this one, it's a little bit longer and it still feels like it holds up pretty well. It's also just as pastel, but it doesn't leave an ink blob at the end. This is the medium Papermate Flare pen, and it's kind of almost as thin as the Emott one, in my opinion. It's not like super thin, but for a medium pen, it's pretty thin. Up next, we have the Master's Touch brush marker, and it does have a felt tip kind of pen at the end of it. So the other part is a brush tip, this part is a felt tip pen, but you can't really put the cap on the back. This isn't a review for that. I just wanted to note it really quick. And it doesn't say what size the nib is for this one, but it's also pretty thin, but it's not as thin as the Emott, so it might be like a 0.5 or something. So it would feel like it would be Master's Touch, then Emott, then Le Pen, in that order for the thickest to thinnest, not including the Papermate, of course. And last but not least, we have the Friction Fine Liner. I did accidentally misspell it. I forgot the R. Please just disregard that. But I did want to try this one out compared to the rest of them because it does say fine liner. It didn't say the size on it. But this is what they all look like side by side. If you are somebody who wants an extremely fine line, then you would go for Le Pen or Emott. If you're someone who doesn't mind lines being a little bit thicker, Papermate and the others would be a much better option, especially because of the price range. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I do recommend these pens, by the way, if you can find them on sale. If not, you might want to wait for a sale, because although they're nice, I feel like for the set you could get a better kind of a set, not just because these are just too light or pastel, but because they're super expensive and they do leave those dots of ink at the end, and it's not very pretty or professional. But at the end of the day, it's all up to you. For me, I would give this about a 7 out of 10. They were fine. They weren't fantastic. They didn't completely change my mind and make me want to go out and get more, but they weren't bad either. I'm not regretting that I got them because I did get them on sale. But I do wish that they were a little better to write with, rather than all the work being put into the very pretty barrels and stand that it comes with. But thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye!